Hey, it's James from Finney Electrical, and on today's video we're doing some testing in a tattoo studio. So here's the studio that we're going to test. So we've got the ground floor here, and then the fuse boards over there. There's also like a little salon upstairs that we're going to test, so that's just up the stairs there. So the fuse board's down here, so let's take a look at him. So this is what we've got to test. So apparently it's just been installed, so a few months ago, and yeah, he didn't issue a test certificate with it. The guy tried calling him and he just won't respond at all, so he's installed this and not issued a test result, so we're testing it today and seeing what we can find. So straight away we've got the main tails coming through separate holes, so that's going to cause eddy currents, which is going to fail the report. So they'll have to get sorted out and brought through the same hole, so that's not good straight away. So looking at the electrical distribution then, we've got the main cable coming in. This goes into your service head, from here into your meter, and then your tails come out to this double pole Henley connector block, and then from here it's just two tails up to your fuse board, and then two tails up to this fuse board here. So we'll have to test both today. So in here it's just some lights for upstairs, and then here are the bulkier circuits. Just going to whip the cover off and get a ZE test. So what I'm going to do is disconnect the main earth from the fuse board, and we'll test between earth to the incoming line. So let's turn the tester on, bang it on high current, and we'll just clamp onto the earth here and put the line on there. Click test, there we go, 0.20, so that is your ZE. And then I'm going to connect it back in, do the test again, and this number here will be the PFC. Same again, there we go, so 1.1 is your PFC. Earth back in. So this end-to-end test, you basically test from the line cable all the way around, so line to line, neutral to neutral, and earth to earth. So if you don't get a test result, it means there's a break in the cable, so you have to investigate into that and see what's going on. So we'll just disconnect those cables for the circuit. So we've got the line here, we're going to find the neutrals and the earths. Alright, so just going to turn that to continuity. I'm going to test from line to line for the end-to-end test. Click test, we've got 0.71. Let's test neutral next. So that's your neutrals all clamped in nicely. Click test, 0.72. Finally the earths. Click test, got 1.25. So that just proves that line goes all the way around, neutral goes all the way around, and earth goes all the way around. So if there are any breaks in the cable, we'd have to look into the back of the sockets and see if there's any kind of cables popping out, that kind of thing. So we'd have to investigate into the circuit why we didn't get a reading all the way around. So those results just pop into the test sheet. So there's loads of boxes to fill out for the test results. So under, was it circuit 6, it would say basement sockets, and then we'd have a box for R1, which is the line. There'll be a box for RN and a box for R2, which is earth. So after that we do a crossover test. So you connect the line into the earth out and the earth into the line out. So you kind of cross over, and then you go around with your plug-in tester and you're testing for a resistance. So you go around every socket and you should be getting results within 0.05 of each other, and then you know that there's no kind of spurs going off. But if you get like a really high resistance, it's probably spurred off, so it'd be worth investigating. So the other reason we do the continuity test first is because we want to make sure that we're getting line to line, we're getting an end-to-end continuity between these two. So when it comes to the insulation resistance test, you test between one of the cores or one of the ends to the neutral of one of the ends and the earth of one of the ends. But if there was a break, you won't be testing the full circuit all the way around, would you? You'll do line first, so we'll clamp onto the line there, and might as well do line to earth. So what I do, so let's put it on insulation resistance and then press test. Test at 100 volts first, so nothing's plugged in. And we're just going to ramp it up to 500. There we go, so greater than 500, so that's a really good reading between line and earth. We'll just do earth to neutral now, so we're going to bang it back down to 100 volts just in case something going on. There we go, back up to 500. There we go, greater than 500, so that's a perfect result. So lastly, line to neutral. There we go, greater than 500, spot on. So that's the insulation resistance passed. And those results there, just bang in the report under, obviously DB1, circuit 6, insulation resistance. It'll say the test voltage, which is 500, and then it says the test results will be greater than 500 for line to neutral, And then from line to earth and neutral to earth, we've got greater than 500 as well. So for that test, what we do is disconnect all loads. So anything plugged in, all that gets disconnected, and you test it between the cores. So you've got live, earth and neutral, and you're testing, you're sending a voltage down the line, and you're testing between line and earth, line and neutral, neutral and earth. And you're getting you want to get a really high resistance between the two, in like a mega ohm resistance. So if you had stuff plugged in, the voltage will go through the appliance, you see, so you get a false reading. So what you want to do is just make sure your loads are disconnected. So just going to bob into the fuse board now and connect up line and earth, and then we're going to get an earth resistance reading at a couple of points. So we're just going to get the line of that circuit and connect it up to the earth of that circuit. That's those connected up, and then we'll just bob around with the tester, and we should get a nice even test result all the way around. So what this test does, it tells you how much the insulation is broken down by, and it tells you if the cable is fit to still use. Right, I'm just going to bob around with the socket tester and get a test result. So it's on continuity. I'm just going to bob around now. So, not single socket down here, plug in. So 0.51. We'll bob around here. There's 2 down here to test. 0.48, 0.62, and then I think the last one's just down here then, 0.48, oh, 0.53, so the highest was 0.62. So the highest was 0.62, but as you noticed, one side was 0.62 and one side was like 0.4 something. So with wear and tear, as the inside the socket is like a little pincer that kind of pinches onto the pin, that can kind of come a bit loose over time. So that's why sometimes you get like a difference between the two sockets, even though it's the same point. That's what it'll be. So it'll just be a loose connection onto the earth pin. Now I'm just going to move on to a lighting circuit and get that tested. So this is going to be a radial circuit, so it wires from the fuse board to every point and then it stops. So we're just going to do a visual check. So we'll pop down a few of these downlights and just see how it's been wired. Right, so just bob down this downlight here. It looks like they've terminated it alright. So what you don't want to see is lots of singles exposed hanging out, because that would fail the report. You're not supposed to have singles outside an enclosure, but you see what they've done is just taped it off just so you can't see any there. So that's nice, neat and sweet. And we'll just check this one up. We'll check this over here, same again. They've just taped over it, so it's nice, neat and sweet really. With these type of downlights, it's quite hard to get your cables in, it's quite tight. They're not really good downlights, but they've done a good job of hiding those singles cables. So as you can see, it's a bit pitch black in here. So just going to go over to this point here and get a test. So we'll have to untape it, and then we'll have to get a test between line and earth. And so we've got live and earth there, so just going to get a quick test. And we're getting 15 ohms. So that reading was really high, so it's 15 ohms, which is just crazy. It should be usually around about 5 ohms max for lighting on a B6, but yeah, it's just too high of that, so there will be definitely a dodgy connection somewhere that'll need investigating. So that just gets put down on the report, under observations, so it's bobbed that down as a T2 that it doesn't meet the earth requirements for that MC. So next we'll just go on to the insulation resistance, which you've seen how to do that already. So you just do line to earth, neutral to earth, and line to neutral. I'm trying to remember that. But yeah, so we'll do the insulation resistance test, see what test results we get. So we're not going to disconnect every light to disconnect the loads. So we'll just do line to earth and then neutral to earth. And then that's under limitations, we'll just say that we haven't disconnected every light to test between line to neutral. There we go, quick update. So I said we'd show you some other observations. There we go, downlight just being glued in, not fire rated. So if there's a fire in here, it'd spread quickly, and some flats above. So living space above, so these will need swapping to fire rated downlights. So next one, no slaving on earth. Another observation. Right, another one. So no grommet strip in this back box where they've brought in a cable. Another observation is that there was a 6mm on a 50 amp breaker. Now a 6mm cable can't take 50 amps, so if it's sitting around about 49 amps, the breaker's not going to trip and you're going to get a fire.
Ready?
Bad electric.
Started the fire!
So that's it for the observations. So as you can tell, the guy who did it did not do his job properly. The customer probably didn't see if he's got his qualifications, look for his insurance, because he's about to claim on that. You say that he hadn't done a proper job. He's obviously just come in, swapped it over. I think he charged like 600 quid for that, and he hadn't even tested it. So, and he's done it wrong. So you had the cables going in, the mains cables going in separate holes, and like I said, the 6mm not being put on the correct breaker size, so it was set on fire. And that was the reason why he came in, is that the board was smoking a bit, probably loose connections. He's come in, swapped that, and just done a terrible job. So yeah, we're done down here now. So we're going to send over the document, we're going to send over the report of all the things that it's failed on, and then we're going to send over a quote of what needs to be done to get a pass report. So there's loads of things wrong with this one, and it just needs sorting. So like I said, you got the breaker that needs down rating, so they're in a fire. You got the cable, you got the main cables in separate holes. We've got the high earth resistance on these. So there's quite a few bits that need sorted. So that's all we've really got time to show you on this test. So we've showed you how to get a ZE, how to get a PFC, we've talked about earthing arrangements, we've talked about how to test the socket circuit with the ring test end to end, the crossover, insulation resistance, and then how to just do a radial circuit, so we picked a lighting circuit. So at least you got a little insight into what Electrician does when he does the EICR test. So if you like this kind of content, hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the little bell notification so you know when we're next uploading. As always, have a good one from me and Hayden, and I'll see you on the next one.